So the thing that has been guiding me lately, more guiding, holding, being very present with me, is the concept of belonging. So, as I have said, I did not plan this to go this way when I had three words tattooed on my forearm: um, love, belonging, and wonder. Um, I knew they were important. I knew I wanted them with me. And now they seem to be taking on a much deeper significance. And the significance is not that there is something new that wants to be lived into or revealed, but the significance is that it's already here and fully formed, and it wants to be recognized. So the statement that I very offhandedly, really truly came up with um, is that belonging is the antidote to suffering. And that can tangle the mind up. Well, how do you get from here to there? Uh, how in the world does belonging fix all this suffering in the world and the fact that we suffer so much as human beings? So there is a stepwise process through that. And the first is that the first noble truth in Buddhism is suffering. We're all going to suffer. To be human is to suffer. And the second noble truth is to understand the origin of suffering and to remind ourselves that the reason we suffer is because we believe ourselves to be separate. When we sort of grow into our ego selves as young children, as very young children, there is sort of this waking up into, oh my God, I'm a me. And that's both a great thing and a terrifying thing. It's terrifying because it means I can be alone. It means I can be left and abandoned. And we live with that terror for our whole entire lives until we come around to the end of our lives. We come around towards death, and it gets very terrifying again. Nobody can die with me. I have to die by myself. So I have not read or heard this antidote for suffering, being belonging. That didn't come from anywhere except something that love is speaking to me. But I deeply observe it, and some of you here have been in a TLC for many years. That's what's happening in TLC. It's not just connection. It's not just, um, not even just sharing the immediacy of our experience, but whatever it is, the way TLC is formed, what it allows to come into focus, what happens in our beings is we know we belong. And for whatever time, it may be minutes, it may be hours, but for minutes or hours at a time, we begin to say, I belong, I belong. And that not belonging that lives so deeply within us is relieved for a moment. And what I'm experiencing in the intensity of my life experience and experiencing illness and facing death is that it can be healed. That separation, that belief that I am separate is healed by belonging. And we had a TLC last night in which we were experiencing the reality that we don't create love, we wake up to love or we remember love. And it's the same thing with belonging. That something inside of us, when we run into it, says, ah, this. And I find myself so limited in being able to talk about it, about what it feels like and about what it means. And I think that's a proper thing. I don't think I'm meant to fancy it up in any way, but to just feel the fundamental truth of it. So that's what I'm deeply experiencing these days. And I am hoping and inviting the people that practice here to come along in that experience of belonging with me, that we belong to each other. And it may be obvious, it may not be obvious, but that when we belong to each other, it automatically begins kind of a domino effect of we're able to include people that aren't in our circle. Oh, they belong too, or I belong to them too. So let's practice together. So recalling that our practice space, this moment, this here and now, is a space of love. That love was here before us, preparing this place of belonging, and that it will be here after we go. And as we step into this space of love, we can immediately recognize it and begin to relax, begin to open. And then to spend some time of just really attending to our own experience, to notice small and large experiences that our being is having right now. And that as we notice an experience, we name it silently to ourselves. And then move on to the next experience. Our practice is called surrendered presence. And this is our first step into presence, knowing and naming what it is that we're experiencing in any given moment. And then going deeper into presence by engaging with and allowing the body to ground us. We give our attention fully to the body, beginning with the feet and the lower legs. And we notice our knees and our upper legs. We notice our hips and our pelvis. We notice our belly. And then we notice all the organs of the belly. We notice the chest. And our beating heart. We notice the shoulders, upper arms, the lower arms, and our hands. We notice our back beginning down at the tailbone, following the spine all the way up so that we experience our muscles and our rib cage, the scapula, and the neck. We notice our scalp and our face. And then we notice ourselves as one physical being here now. So feeling how you belong to your body, how you belong to your body. And from that place, beginning to notice the other parts of your being, starting with your heart. And we'll just have a minute or so of silence as we completely attend to the heart. And then seeing what the heart might want to teach you, your own heart, teach you about belonging. And then attending to the part of our being called spirit. And I purposely do not over explain what spirit is because I so want everyone to feel into their own spirit for themselves. And it's subtle and it can be confusing sometimes, but it has to do with aliveness, has to do with flow, energy, this feeling your own spirit. And then noticing our mind, being able to observe thoughts, to observe when thoughts may be carrying us towards ego mind, or when thoughts are carrying us towards soul knowing. But whatever is happening there, making space, allowing the mind to be an open place. And then experiencing ourselves as a whole being. And every time I do this practice, I marvel a little bit or a lot that I am body, heart, spirit, mind, soul here now. And that I can experience all these parts of myself. And I can experience them simultaneously. And that I can notice the way this being that is me is being held by the earth. In this little corner of the universe that is ours, this planet called Earth is holding me to itself. It's got me. And as I feel the pull of gravity, I trust that I won't fall away, float away. I begin to relax. I remember to let myself be held. And this is the beginning of belonging. This is the beginning of closing that separation. The earth wants to hold me. Love wants to hold me. And I begin to say yes. And then from this place of our deep presence, from this place of holding, beginnings of belonging, we come deeply home to our breath. And we observe as the breath flows in and back out again. Notice how perfectly easy it is, how good we are at breathing, knowing how to pull air in, knowing how to let it go again. We recognize that both of these keep us in perfect health, perfect balance and wholeness. That it is in this receiving and letting go that we belong. We're now bringing our attention to the out breath, watching ourself deeply release, seeing what it feels like in our full being as that breath goes all the way out of the body. And then on the next out breath, following that breath all the way to its completion. So we're completely emptied of breath and of self. And we surrender everything. And come to rest in a space of simple being and love. So before we leave one another today, seeing if we can touch into or just open ourselves to the reality of belonging. Not trying to not trying to create anything, not trying to understand anything, but just inviting if it wants to show itself to us, that we have an experience of it. And if it doesn't, then we let that be true too. Just as we trust love, we trust belonging. And that we carry the belonging that we receive here out into the world, out into our daily lives. And we recognize we're never without this communion. Thank you so much for practicing with me and supporting my own practice. Love you all.